Are meetings eating you alive? You spend your entire day dipping in and out of meetings or Zoom calls only to get to the end of it and realize you've done absolutely nothing productive. My name is Qasim. I've built 6 million and multi-million dollar businesses. I've had 2 exits, one for 8 figures. I've generated a $10,000,000 net worth, and my goal in life is to help you achieve 3x freedom. That's financial freedom, freedom of dimension, and freedom of purpose. And I want to talk about what I think is the most effective meeting framework. First, let's establish the premise. So this little box is going to represent the meeting that was just scheduled on our calendar, okay? And it's going to be 60 minutes because people have no respect for our time and they think they can just lob an hour onto our calendar. And they've added a number of key stakeholders. And this is everybody that's joining our meeting. And what happens is they offer a mild premise. So, they say something like, we're going to meet about the new product launch, just as an example. Product launch. Great. So we're meeting about the new product launch, and we know we're meeting with these 3 people. And the meeting goes something like this. We're going to spend at least the first 30% of the meeting on the setup. What does that mean? That means that we're going to spend 30% of the meeting with whoever scheduled the meeting or the key stakeholders explaining the purpose of the meeting. What is it that we're doing here? What's the goal? What are the questions? What are the problems? What are we getting at? Why are we having this meeting? 30% of the meeting is spent on setup, preamble, preface. Now, what's interesting about that is because we're all just now going through setup, preamble, and preface, there needs to be a clarification stage. So the next 20 to 30% of the meeting is spent with the remaining stakeholders asking questions and clarifications about the first third of the meeting. Very often, this actually devolves right out of the gate because we find out we're not ready, we don't have all the information necessary, we don't have all the stakeholders that we need on this call. People have questions, disagree with the approach, etc. So we've now spent 30% of our time on the setup, 30% of our time on the clarification, and we haven't even really started the meeting, right? The purpose of the meeting is to establish some level of productivity. So maybe the latter third of the meeting is mildly productive. And I say mildly because as we figured out in clarification, we don't have all the stakeholders on the call. We don't have all the information that we need on the call, but we're able to make some headway, right? We're like, all right, in relation to the product launch, why don't we, do this, choose that, go this direction, start here. We've made some decisions, but not anywhere near the number or amount of decisions that we should have made given the time that this is costing us. There are 4 people on this meeting, 3 others and you. And so you take everybody's, let's say, hourly billable, multiply that according to however long this took, and that's how much this meeting cost you. We've only been a third productive, and even that productivity is only semi-productive. Because now that we know we're missing information and we're missing stakeholders, what do? We schedule another meeting. Why wouldn't we do that? Oh, we're going to need another meeting. This is also going to be 60 minutes. Let's add even more stakeholders. So now there's going to be 5 people on this meeting in addition to you. And by the way, we're missing information, and let's hope to God that we have all the information that we need right out of the gate so that this meeting can be a little bit more productive. But remember, because there are new stakeholders, what are we going to do? We're going to have to offer at least a little preface, maybe not as much as was on the first meeting, but there will be some preface offered. And then, of course, because there's preface and there's a setup, there's going to be some clarification required. And then at some point, maybe we actually get into the meat and potatoes of the meeting and we're able to be productive with the latter half of the meeting, or even 2/3 of the meeting, let's say. But I mean, look at what's happening here, right? You take all of the people, you take the 3 people that were involved in the first hour, the 5 people that were involved in the second hour, you, if you're not including yourself in those numbers, and then you take the amount of wasted time and you multiply it by everybody's hourly billable, and you are burning cash. And this, by the way, but this is routine. This is the way everybody runs meetings from Fortune 100s on the way down because it's easy. This is way easier than actually doing the work ahead of time that would be necessary in order to make this meeting productive. So what I'm going to posit is going to require some discipline, and it's also going to require you getting everybody on the same page. But if you can do that, I'm going to make your meetings exponentially more productive, and you're going to have way fewer. So here's what this looks like, okay? Before anybody's ever allowed to have a meeting, first and foremost, whoever the key stakeholder is has to offer the setup, and they have to offer the setup asynchronously. So the setup comes in and allows for asynchronous intake. What does that mean? That means that this is an email, a Loom video, a Slack message, a text, something. However it is that you and your team communicate, the setup comes in asynchronously. And the setup is, who are the stakeholders? What are the goals? What information do we need? What is it we're trying to accomplish, right? So the setup comes in asynchronously. And then what happens? We move to clarification asynchronously. So now from setup to clarification, we establish at least 3 really important things. 1, what's the goal of this meeting? 2, who are the stakeholders? 3, what information do we need before before we schedule this meeting. If we're talking about a product launch, maybe we need all the sales data from last year. Maybe we need that circulated before we have a meeting so everybody has the opportunity to look at it and really do a strong intake, right? What was sold? What were the reviews? What was returned? What had the highest rate of breakage or support tickets? And we don't capture that information and then jump on a meeting and look over it together, right? Because again, it's an ineffective use of everybody's time. All of this happens asynchronously. So the setup happens asynchronously. The clarification stage happens asynchronously. And until we've established what the goal of this meeting is, what are we going to get out of this meeting specifically, who the key stakeholders are, and what required information there is, we are not going to schedule this meeting. As soon as we have this, then we move into scheduling. And now, ideally, everybody hops on this call. Everybody knows the goal. All key stakeholders are on this call, and everybody's had the opportunity to look over all of the required information. And then you get a 100% productive meeting. As a matter of fact, if it takes you an hour, I'd be shocked. More often than not, interestingly, guess where your problems are solved? They're solved in this stage, right? This stage saves you the need for most meetings. I really mean that, by the way. I bet you, I don't know, 80%, 4 to 5 meetings can be staved off if you can be disciplined and put your staff in a position to where they're following this process. Before anybody's allowed to schedule a meeting, before anybody can put anything on anybody else's calendar, they have to first offer the setup and walk through clarification. And once the setup and clarification have been accomplished, now we need 3 things. What's the goal of the meeting? Who are the key stakeholders? What's the required info? And incidentally, I think a meeting, the way that I'm defining it, is 3 people or more, right? Like if it's just you and me, then yeah, let's hop on a quick Zoom so we can prepare the setup for the whole rest of the group. But what I'm trying to avoid is those situations where we get way too many people on a call. And this is especially true when you have people across organizations, right? If there are just people within your organization, at least there's something of a second hand that we all understand, the jargon, the semantics, the company, the values. But the minute you start involving, vendors or contractors or freelancers or clients, now these meetings just go wildly off the rails. And incidentally, you can impose this system of rules on everybody that I just named, even your clients, should you so choose. You just explain to people, hey, y'all, this is why we do it. We want to make ourselves massively productive. So the very first thing is we establish the setup for why we think this meeting is necessary. We have a quick round of clarification where everybody on this thread, this email, whatever it is, wherever it is you're choosing to asynchronously communicate, gets to walk back and forth and discuss the purpose of this meeting. Through the clarification stage, we're going to figure out what information is missing, what stakeholders are missing, and what the actual goal is. What is it we're trying to accomplish? And then, if necessary, if we haven't solved all our problems in that asynchronous communication, then we can schedule a meeting. And I think you can see the power of this, the potency. But again, it requires some discipline because it's generally speaking, it's just way easier to be like, oh, you know what? Let's just throw some time on the calendar and figure this out together. But when you do that, you're not just costing yourself that time, you're costing everybody on that call that time. And the likelihood that everybody on the call needs to be through every single one of those stages is so low, right? Because different stakeholders need to participate at different points in the process. That's actually where this gets really cool. When you establish the key stakeholders, you start to realize what stakeholders are required for the specific goal. It's like, yeah, we need to do a product launch. So we're going to involve marketing, but we actually don't need to involve marketing until after we've decided what products we're going to double down on next year. So this meeting won't involve marketing. Once we have the products determined, then we can segue into involving marketing. And of course, that'll start with a setup and a clarification stage. So we don't even necessarily need a meeting there. So what did I just do? I saved the marketing people from having to sit through our discussions that they don't necessarily need to be in. And by the way, I saved us from them because you have stakeholders that really shouldn't necessarily get a say in this particular part of the process, but now they're on the call, and so they're inclined to provide value, right? How many times have there been people on a call that shouldn't have been on the call that actually you don't want to participate because, who cares what marketing says? Just kidding. I'm saying that as a marketer. So anyway, I'd love to know what you think about this. If there's a way of improving on the framework, hit me in the comments. This is more difficult in the beginning because it's going to be really hard to break some of these habits. And so share this video with your team. Say, hey, I want to try this. And you can talk about maybe how you modify it for your needs, your purposes. Interestingly, believe it or not, this will not just make you more productive, it will help you move faster. And while that sounds a little counterintuitive, it's so difficult to find blocks of time where everybody necessary is available. moving your communication methods and styles into an asynchronous format that allows people to communicate when they're available, it helps you gather all the information that you need faster and more effectively and on other people's terms. You're going to need a champion. Every single one of these series of events that takes place here needs effectively a project manager, to be honest with you. So one of the rules that you have to implement is this is owned by one person. One person is providing the setup. One person is managing the clarification stage, because there's going to be a lot of noise, right? And so we need somebody to kind of herd the cats. And then ultimately one person is going to posit the goals, the stakeholders, and the required information. And once all of that has been made available, now we can schedule our meeting. I hope this is helpful. I'll see you in the next video.